After the OPEC decision on a production cut, the United States has threatened Saudi Arabia with harsh retribution and accused it of allying with Russia. Why did Washington react so harshly to a simple production cut? Why does Washington fear it so very much? To answer this question, we need to take a look at the production cut itself, and then reflect on how it may affect Washington, to learn about the validity of its threats, and to finally understand, is the Saudi American crisis even real? OPEC has recently agreed on a daily production cut of 2 million barrels a day. This decision comes at a time of great instability in the global energy and oil market, and is geared to stop the price of oil going down even further. The decision will cut the global supply of oil in the market and result in the stabilization of the price of oil in the volatile market. It's important to look at the actual figure because it doesn't reflect the reality on the ground. The actual cut will result in the reduction of 1.1 million barrels a day and not the announced 2 million figure. This is because most OPEC members aren't meeting their production quotas due to a lack of refining, storage, and production capacity. They are running at peak production and it's not enough. This production hole is a direct result of underinvestment due to market instability. The stabilization of the oil market with the production cut will guarantee investors a safer market and the production of OPEC will be expanded with new investment. Saudi Arabia has insisted this is a purely economical decision, but Washington doesn't view it as such. It has interpreted it as a direct attack against it, and it then had to respond with strong words and threats. It's important to mention that at the start of 2022, Joe Biden came to Riyadh himself on his Middle Eastern trip and asked it to increase its oil production to decrease oil prices back home. Riyadh hasn't done so since no official agreement was struck, and now it has reduced its supply. Biden had even asked Riyadh to delay the current cut after the midterm elections, but Riyadh has refused this request as well. So, Washington went and called out Riyadh over its actions, calling it an international pariah, accusing it of allying with Russia, and gone on to threaten it and its position in the international world order. Washington has accused Riyadh of allying with Moscow because it's a fellow member of OPEC Plus, and the increase in oil prices will directly benefit and supply it with revenues that are used to fund its war with Ukraine. But Washington's claims are hypocritical and nonsensical. Washington has purchased large amounts of Russian oil at the start of the war, helping to fund Russia, and it doesn't consider itself as a Russian ally, but is blaming Saudi Arabia over the same purely economical decision. Washington has also chosen to ignore other enemy members in the cartel. It hasn't accused Riyadh of allying with Caracas or even Tehran, who also benefit from an increase in oil prices from the cartel's own decision. Washington has even gone on to threaten harsh retribution on Riyadh in order to strong arm it into backing out of the cut and to make it increase once again its oil production. But why is Washington's reaction so severe, and why does it feel so threatened by an increase in oil prices? To explain that, we need to take a look at the current political climate in the United States. The midterm elections are on the horizon, and the approval ratings of Joe Biden are directly tied to oil prices in the country. This is because the United States is a very car-centric country, and any increase in oil prices heavily affects American households, who view the president as directly responsible for the prices. So it's in Biden's best interest to keep oil prices low this month, to shore up domestic support before the midterms. And the Saudi refusal to drop its cap directly endangers his midterm election success. So Biden has to respond harshly to save face and strong arm Rida to decrease its oil prices, resulting in his win in midterm elections. So, what can Washington do to punish Rida for its cut? Well, it has several options based upon two core sectors: the Saudi economy and its military. First, let's talk about Washington's economic punishments. Saudi Arabia is heavily reliant upon its oil revenues to sustain its economical status, so any major drop in oil prices will hurt it and hurt it severely. So America may choose to target its oil vehicle, OPEC Plus, as punishment. An attack on OPEC isn't a new idea. It has been around for decades in the form of the unsigned No OPEC bill. If this bill gets passed into law, it will designate OPEC as a monopoly, allowing Washington to sue it in the international court and cause its breakup. If the bill succeeds and OPEC breaks up, the global oil market will grow fragmented and competition will greatly increase. Former OPEC countries trying to outcompete each other, resulting in a reduction of oil prices. The United States won't escape unharmed from such a situation. It's after all the largest oil producer in the world, so reduction in oil prices will hurt its revenues. Its oil companies are some of the largest in the world, and they spend billions of dollars a year on lobbying Washington to advance their interest. So they will never allow their politicians to agree on such a bill and will spend billions more to ensure such an outcome. But what if the no OPEC bill miraculously passes by godly intervention? What then? OPEC will break up, oil prices will drop, and many countries, including the United States, will be outcompeted in the market, leaving just a few key players. Just like Saudi Arabia, which has the lowest extraction costs in the world and will be able to successfully operate at very low oil prices. So, an economical punishment will be bound to hurt Washington much worse than Rida. So, it's much more likely to turn to its second punishment vector, the military. So, let's talk about Washington's available military punishments. Rida is Washington's largest buyer, buying up over a quarter of all American sold weapons, making it the largest purchaser of American arms. This grants Washington great leverage because Rida is totally reliant upon its weapons for their own defense. Washington may decide to stop selling Rida its weapons, and this will result in the Saudi military becoming largely destroyed in a couple of short years, making it unable to defend itself and most crucially its oil rigs. A total ban on Saudi weapon purchasing is far too drastic and will go on to hurt Washington as well, increasing the cost of its military equipment for production and selling and endangering the production of future military systems due to a lack of Saudi funds. So, Washington won't target the entire Saudi military, but an important sector in it, like aircraft or air defense, that directly protect its oil infrastructure. But, once again, any major punishment in those sectors will limit Rida's ability to protect its oil production. Iran will utilize this gap and once again turn to destroying Saudi oil facilities, leading to a further increase in oil prices. Once again, lobbying plays a crucial part in any military cut. The American military industrial complex is a powerful force in Washington, spending billions to secure lucrative contracts, so it will prevent Washington from taking any decision that will affect its bottom line too severely. And Washington needs to weigh carefully its options because any action risks pushing Rida closer towards Moscow and Beijing, giving them a new, powerful, and independent ally that will boost their power and influence on the world stage. Washington cannot afford to lose Rida to Moscow or Beijing, so any action against it will in turn be largely symbolic and will cause it just minor calculated pain. It still has to carry out a symbolic punishment as to not lose their credibility on the world stage over empty threats and attacks, but it will be minor and unimportant in the grand scheme of things. And now to answer our final question: is the crisis even real? A crisis only occurs when there is a significant change from the status quo. The Saudi-American relationship goes back for over 8 decades, and it has always been based upon two main pillars. Washington provides Rida with guns, and Rida provides Washington with cheap and reliable oil. This status quo hasn't changed for over 80 years, and now at a point that appears to be a crisis, it has remained stable. So, the crisis is simply not real. The entire supposed crisis is the direct result of a president looking to secure his next term in office at the cost of discrediting his country's reputation on the world stage. Maybe this tactic will work, maybe it won't, but it will cost America and set its diplomatic efforts years back and hamper its position as a reliable world leader. So, if Biden returns as president, he will have to ask himself, was this action worth it? Was it worth to threaten Saudi Arabia and discredit the United States over such a minor deal? And the answer to that question would be no. No, it wasn't.